In today's episode, we're sitting down for some real talk about all the changes coming to Disney this year.
Come along as we chat about our thoughts, concerns, and what ifs surrounding our upcoming Disney trips. Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. We're Spring and Claire, friends since middle school, mutual Disney lovers, and travel planners. We talk about Disney so much that we thought it would be fun to record our chats to share with you. You may know that in Disney lingo, extra magic hours are more hours to have fun in the parks. Well, we're the extra magic moms, putting more magic into Disney vacation planning. We're here to help make your next trip extra magical, not extra stressful. Come along as we share our best tips, tricks, and Disney planning knowledge. So, good morning.
Good morning.
What are we chatting about today?
Welcome. Welcome to the changes of Disney.
Yeah, welcome to the circus show of 2020.
That's a good one, circus show.
Yeah, we're taking a slight, what was I going to say? I had a cute little thing. Oh, pardon as we interrupt your normally scheduled programming for this real life, real talk chat about Disney in 2020. And what is that regularly scheduled programming, you ask? Our planning series. Yeah, so I feel like as we've started the planning series, every time we talk about something that we love or is our biggest piece of advice for guests, clients, that Disney then turns around the next day and they're like, gotcha.
Yeah, basically everything that we love or would normally do
or recommend.
Disney's like, tap the brakes. Claire, no. Let me tell you how it's going to go.
Nope, you're wrong.
Yeah, right.
For 2020 anyway.
I think even all of us as travel consultants are a little like, what are we doing? How do we do that? Where are we going?
Yeah.
Because even where are we going? Sure, we're going to Disney, but where are we going? Where are we staying? What are we going to do when we get there? Where are we going to eat?
It's a big surprise. So the latest development is the new reservation system that launched for those guests with 2020 reservations.
Park reservation.
Yeah. Did I say resorts?
You just said reservation.
Oh, right. So the new park reservation system. Exactly.
Yeah.
For those with resort reservations for 2020. So you and I fall into that category. So as of Monday morning, we were eligible to get into the reservation system. We both had the same issues that everybody was having. All of our fellow Disney creators and, clients and whoever else texted us or posted on social media about all these problems and challenges. We both had them. You have actual tickets already paid for our upcoming upcoming trips. And I did not, because we get the military passes that I had not yet purchased. So you were able to proceed through the reservation system. I got stopped once I picked my date and park, which is step one. Then it looks for eligible tickets connected or linked to your accounts and any of the people in your party. And of course I don't have them. So it said, hold up. Was it hold up soldier? I can't remember. I screenshot, I think. So
that's funny.
Yeah, it is funny. They're like, wait, you don't actually have tickets. You can't go on, which was fair. I don't have tickets and I knew that that's how it was going to work, but I wanted to see, how the system worked, the whole queuing screen and being in that waiting room. And yeah, it wasn't good.
I love that you wanted to torture yourself a little.
I know. Well, I was editing and working on other stuff, probably from our last show that we taped, and just thought, what the heck?
You were just there. Yeah.
Why not? But yeah, why not torture myself? That's an aptly put description of what we went through. And I know.
Well, what's funny is,
problems, right?
I had actually, I chose not to get up at 7. Well, I set my alarm. And I quickly just peeked online just to see what all of the other consultants were saying. And I was like, I know it's going to be crazy busy, or it's going to crash, or it's just inevitable. I mean, it happens with everything that's new. So I just snoozed right back to bed. And then when I finally did get on, I don't remember even what time it was that we were chatting about it. Although it was a bit of a wait, I feel like it was roughly 2 hours or so.
Okay.
I still feel kind of lucky in my waiting time with the queue and how fast I ended up getting through compared to a lot of other people. But it's kind of silly, but it was kind of fun seeing the different screens that they have now for the waiting or someone ate your page or
Right.
that was kind of fun. The restarting of the countdown wasn't super fun.
And just the challenges. I mean, there were system glitches. So you experienced the one where it limited you to how many days you could reserve, which was in fact a glitch. We found out afterwards. We thought that maybe because it was September. So our trips are the end of August into the very beginning of September, and it was the September dates that you couldn't book.
Right.
So we kind of thought that maybe it was because it had changed a month that it was giving you problems, but in fact it was a system glitch. Lots of people experienced it. As of, I don't know, was it last night or yesterday morning? Tuesday morning, I saw some posts that it had been officially fixed.
Right. It didn't take me that long to get it fixed. I was able to go in. I just had to keep going back and going back and forth, basically.
Okay.
But it really wasn't terrible. But yes, I also did read that it was a glitch that ended up getting fixed.
Yeah.
It happens.
It does. It happens, but I feel I would be remiss as a former director of software implementation and support services to not mention that it is incredibly frustrating. And I know that there are a bunch of Disney creators, vloggers, and whatnot out there who are sort of commenting the same. And I saw one, our agency's channel, if you will, is the Kingdom Insider. And I did see something from Christy that was, how did she describe it? I think it was, she went live. And it was something like, you're a parent, you have kids, we're moms. So this is a very applicable example. You're moms and your kids do something, they mess up, they make a mistake, whatever. And of course, as parents, you never stop loving your kids and you never tell them that you have stopped loving them. It's really just when they mess up, you say, I still love you, but I'm just super disappointed. And I think that's a really good way of putting this about, what went down with the software system and what continues to happen. Whether it's a product launch, like the main attraction line, at Shop Disney, or if it's this new huge reservation system that had a huge go live on Monday morning and will continue to do so. Each new group has a different date that they'll be applicable or able to get into the system. And it's just one of those things, the park has been closed for several months, and I just feel like it's a missed opportunity to have really focused on and nailed down a lot of things that are challenges with the software system. So who knows?
Well, I have yet to take on today's new task of 2021 reservations.
Yeah, which as travel consultants, that's the big news for today. We had our webinar last night and learned that as of today, I don't even know what the date is. What is today's date?
24th.
Okay, so as of June 24th, we
24th.
we can book 2021 trips for our clients. And there's a lot of changes there, way too many to go into for today because today's topic is real talk about 2020, but
right.
Yeah, it's just, again, there's some software constraints there too. And, I just think that's one area that out of all of the magic and all of the amazingness and how you transport yourself to a different place and kind of escape or, a lot of people call Disney their home, their true home. It's just hard when that's something that you have to deal with.
Yeah, but that, I will say, is why a travel agent or a travel consultant, whatever you call us, can be very helpful so that we can stay on the phone for hours for you.
Yes.
I mean, I was reading yesterday about these people that were on the hold for so long. And this one girl in particular was like, I really want to go to bed, but I feel like if I hang up now, and it was a screenshot of, how long she had been on hold for, it was an absurd amount of time. I forget what it was 6 or 9 hours. It was crazy. She said, if I feel like if I go to bed right now, I'm going to be a quitter.
Oh.
But at that point in time, a lot of people were commenting that you couldn't even get into the queue anymore. So I felt bad for this particular lady. I have no idea how many reservations she was trying to fix, but right now is a lot of waiting and patience and learning, and we're gonna get through it, I guess.
Yeah,
Eventually.
that's for sure. I mean,
What we're doing.
I think so that's kind of the big changes happening at the parks is this new reservation system, and that was the big, hubbub from earlier this week. The other big change are some of the changes we're hearing coming out of the resorts. So
Yeah.
you had already mentioned like Stormalong Bay being closed, and not all of the restaurants reopening, initially. And again, we're not against any of these things. It's pretty much necessary in order to accomplish some of the health and safety improvements that they want to make for 2020. But it does factor into your decision about whether or not you keep your reservation for 2020, particularly if it's right upon the reopening. So again, ours is toward the end of August, but it really will have only been open for a month by the time we're getting ready. Well, not the resorts, I guess. 2 months, right? June 22nd.
Well, I mean, the resorts opened 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So I'm sure if there are any glitches there, most of them should or would be worked out by the time we stayed. But park-wise, it's June 11th. So
Right. So that's just over a month. So 2 months for
Yeah.
resorts, just over a month for parks to be reopened by the time we go. And I think it's just a matter of how many of these changes are going to remain for all of 2020 or, even into the beginning of 2021 versus is it just an initial park reopening thing and they just want to wait and see how things go? We don't know. So some of these things really impact our trips and make it, kind of a question of whether or not we're going to keep them. And it's just a day by day, literally day by day. We're chatting on FaceTime daily or text,
Right.
about new stuff that's coming out and how does this impact.
Right. Did you hear blah, blah,
Right.
blah? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we would send faces like this.
Yeah.
Emoji wise, or
Right.
crying face, or talking each other through maybe like, that's okay, like we can deal with this change for now. It's minimal compared to everything else. But it does seem to be all these little things that are adding up along with all the big things that is making it really hard for me inside to stay calm.
Yeah.
I have this urge to go and get away from everything. But at the same time, I almost feel a little stressed, and I don't want to feel stressed going on vacation.
I think
A
that's
lot
the
of the
big
things
deal.
that we love, yeah, it's being taken away or altered in some way that makes it, I'm sure it's not that much less fun. If I don't get to go to breakfast at my favorite place, I'm sure I can eat bacon somewhere else. Fine. But it's just these little things that you learn to love at Disney, and then they just get taken away a little bit at a time. And yeah, it's got me screaming inside just a little right now, and I am at a loss for what I want to do.
Right. And just to clarify, it's going back to this whole example of your kid messes up and you still love them. We still love Disney. It's not going to change.
God.
We're never going to change what we do. We're never going to change whether we go. It's literally, this conversation is just about whether it makes sense for us to go now in 2020 and whether it's something for anybody watching our show, you may be in the same boat. So just kind of talking along and being that you almost need somebody to bounce stuff off of or somebody to vent to. And hopefully that's what we can do with the show if you're in the same predicament that we are, where you have an upcoming trip and you're just not sure what to do. Because you had an example too the other day, you guys all went somewhere and had to wear masks in the heat. right?
Ice cream, we went and got ice cream. We're just simply standing in line. Obviously, we can take our mask off when we just usually walk back to the car and eat it.
Right.
But it was definitely a hot day, 91 or something. And I was just standing there, and immediately it popped in my head, like, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I walk around a park like this? I honestly don't know. And with that being said, it's August, September when we would be going. So it's super hot down there. We're not talking
Right.
January where it's not super humid in Florida. So it's all of these things that are being rolled into the trip that are making it a little less. I feel like it's a little less likely that I'll go each day.
Right. A little less magical.
I feel like, yeah, magical.
Yeah. Since, we like that word. It's all about the
We
magic.
do. Mhm. I feel like all of the extra is like,
Yeah.
bring it back.
Right. Which was kind of the
I
purpose for
don't,
the real talk, because
yeah,
we are all about the extra. And I feel like it's the extra that is being taken away for 2020, or just not taken away. I hate to say it like that, because it's not like Disney is doing it intentionally.
it's just, some of it's on pause. It's just a pause.
And it is what it
Take
is.
away.
They didn't, it's not their choice to have the virus being here. And, all of the situation that we're in with the pandemic, it is what it is. If you want to be able to be safe and, still reopen and give people that opportunity, then some of these changes are just inevitable and, temporary pauses, like you said, not permanent changes necessarily. So yeah, I think that's kind of the changes at the parks and resorts in a nutshell. But the other big thing that is really weighing on our minds right now and will impact our trips largely is the increase in virus rates in the state of Florida. So we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it and just kind of throw it out there as things that are weighing on our mind and potentially changing our decision about our trips. Because, we happen to live in upstate New York, and like it or not, politics aside, our governor has put in place a ton of restrictions and all of these phases for reopening. And again, we're not here to talk about whether or not we agree with them, but the fact of the matter is that we are now one of the states with the lowest new case rates and hospital admission rates and whatever. So, it puts into question whether or not the reopening of states has an impact on the virus and the pandemic and the transmission rates. And we know all the experts are talking about a second wave. So I don't know. That's just for us. My husband's a paramedic. Being in the medical profession, it's not one of those things that we're necessarily willing to risk or to not factor into what our decision is for August.
Yes. I mean, along with all of the changes that Disney is making, it's not just those things that are making us just kind of think a little bit more. It's definitely the increase. And every day I turn on the news and I can see that the rates are increasing in all of the states that people are wanting to visit right now because of the beaches and they're open. Like, I would obviously love to go and do that also. But I say to myself, okay, so if I don't go to Disney and I decide to go to the beach, let's just say, just
throwing it out there.
Just throwing it out there. Is it still just as risky because everybody else is doing the same thing? And I mean, it'll depend on what state you go to, obviously.
Right.
But Florida's rates are for sure increasing. And we still have 2 months-ish to figure out what changes between here and there, because it's day to day. I mean, we get stats every day, so we can look at them. But New York is doing really well right now, but I don't want to be here right now. I want to be somewhere else.
I know. It's so hard. But at the same time, like, our rates are doing really well, or they were. And I think, this kind of holds true for what's happening in Florida too, because we're a little bit behind in terms of, reopening things, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
And I just can't help but look. I mean, you look across social media and I just feel like I'm seeing all of this non-social distancing and compliance with wearing masks and stuff. And even looking at, the other parks that have already reopened, theme parks in Florida, and just watching some of the first person, videos that they're taking while they're there. And it seems like on the initial reopening and maybe the very first week of reopening, everybody was very, very good about following and being really cognizant of it. And then, now I'm seeing videos that people are not distancing. They're walking right past each other in queues that are super close. And we know that masks are not, the end all be all to reduce transmission. They obviously are doing something, but I don't know. It just makes me nervous. And then there's the flights.
Yeah.
Let's not forget about that. We'll end the real talk session on the whole flight concept. I think we've mentioned before that we are both nervous flyers. We have anxiety when it comes to flying, and our strategy is literally get a nonstop flight, get there as quickly as possible, and only do one up and one down.
Just get it over with. Like,
yeah.
That is my must have for a trip. Obviously, that's Florida specifically. I mean, if you're going across more states, you don't usually get so lucky, but that's all I want. Like, just get me there. It's also one of the reasons why we don't drive. Besides the fact that it takes a lot of time, we don't usually have that time to add on to our vacation. I would normally have a lot of anxiety just driving, so it's not really just flying. Anyway, they took it away.
Yeah. So all of our nonstop direct flights are gone. They have updated all of them, which also changed our times. I like the nonstop. We tend to fly Southwest because their nonstops are first thing in the morning and last thing at night. So when we plan a Disney trip, our arrival is first thing in the morning. We're usually there at Disney before noon via Magical Express. And then the departure last thing at night. So you almost get a full day still at Disney on your last day. We've talked about maximizing our dollars. So doing it for that reason. And yeah, they're both gone.
Well, we maximize our dollars, and also we get to our vacation so fast, and then we don't have to leave until the very last minute, basically. But now I would say our flight on the way there is still pretty reasonable with the amount of time, which is interesting because I think the time there, anyway, they're both around 6 hours, I want to say now, 5 to 6 hours, when normally they would be 3 to 2.5. Right. So we would still get there really early in the morning, but the day that we're leaving would be around 5 o'clock, and you usually have to board the bus, the Tragical Express, about 3 hours earlier than your flight. And so that pretty much eliminates a park for the morning, which is what we were really looking forward to do, or even Disney Springs. I'm sure some people feel like they could fit that in, but for me, I would just get anxious, and so then it wouldn't be very fun for me. Obviously, we could easily do the pool that morning, but those are things that you have to really think about your strategy when you're doing, because you no longer have a hotel room, so you're changing in the bathrooms, and your luggage is at what's the place where they hold your luggage? Probably a really simple word.
Baggage.
You know, at Art of Animation, it's in the very front of the hotel where they will hold all of your luggage before you get on. Anyway, these are all things that you have to think about. You have to have your outfits out if you're going to do the swimming and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of factors there, but just the fact that I have to go up, down, up, and down.
I know. I know. So I think that's a good place to say, yeah, these are our thoughts. This was our real talk. We just felt like so much is changing, and every single time we record something relative to trip planning, it's kind of changing for 2020. So
again, it's like, wait, tap the brakes, Claire.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably do another one of these, because in a week or so, we might have more thoughts more changes, and obviously our significant others have an input on what will happen with traveling, and we can maybe talk about that next time on how they're
Right.
feeling.
Yeah. And
But today,
yeah, exactly. And of course,
today
we'll
is
get back
just
to our trip planning series. And we also want to throw in some shopping hauls and some unboxing. So lots of fun stuff coming. Definitely stay tuned. But as far as today, that's all the pixie dust we have, if you can call it pixie dust.
Hopefully this topic has been helpful, and if you enjoyed the show, we'd love for you to subscribe below.
Tune in next week for more Disney tips, tricks, and chit chat.
You can also find us on Instagram for extra magic, and be sure to message us to plan your next trip.
Yeah, and remember, if you can dream it, we can plan it.
Bye.
Bye.